Hello.
Hello,
Hey,
yay!
how you doing? Oh, I
I'm
met
doing
you at
good.
Slam Dunk.
Yeah, I was about to say, I don't know if you will remember me, but
Of
we
course I
met
remember
at
you.
Slam Dunk.
How you doing? Did
I'm doing great, thank you.
you have a nice day at the festival?
Oh, so good. Honestly, because James and I, we did both days. We did
Uh-huh.
Leeds the day before, and then we did Hatfield. And
Yeah.
honestly, it was so worth it. But I
Yeah.
was dead, and my voice was destroyed.
Oh, I
I was
bet.
literally talking like this for a week straight. Because we
But
also did the HMAs a few days
yeah,
before that. So I was like, oh my God, I'm dead, but so
yeah.
worth it. So worth it.
We had this. We were at HMAs, and then I went to I decided I was going to go to Slam Dunk at literally like 2 a.m. the night before.
No way.
Because like Hamish, he plays in Vicovey, he's a really good friend of ours, and
I know Hamish.
yeah, you know
Obviously, I know
Hamish.
Hamish.
So
Love the guy. He's great.
so like he'd been saying like for like a couple of weeks, like, oh, if you do want to come down, like we've got a spare few tickets that aren't on our guest list, and I was kind of like, oh, all right. Now then after HMAs, I was like, no, I'm done. I'm too old.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
too old to be going to this shit. And then I went the night before. I was just like, "Oh, actually, it would be quite fun." So like he had 3 spare tickets, so my girlfriend Bethany could bring a friend, so I could go and hang out with Hamish, and like those two could go off and get drunk at the festival. And I said I'll drive back if you come with me. So
Oh my
yeah, it was
God.
fun in
I
the end.
love that. Someone's just trying to comment. Lev
Oh, that'll
too
be
cool
Lewis.
for you.
That'll be
Oh,
Lewis. Yeah.
I didn't know I was expecting
Oh, you get two
multiple
of
of you.
us. You're
Oh,
getting
I
two of
love
us.
that. Great, because my update was I only get one of you, but I'll take
Oh
two.
no, no, no!
No
You get two of
problem.
us.
Hey, love it.
He'll be here in a
Let's,
second. There he is. Hello.
hi,
Hello.
how are
How's it
you?
going? Good, thank you.
Love the two backgrounds going on here. Like Luke, yours is mega fancy, must
Yeah,
say.
this is quite contrasting. That's where we rehearse in Lewis's garage
Oh,
behind him.
no way. Oh,
That's
love it.
literally where
We
we
get
rehearse.
some exclusive behind the
Yeah.
scenes insight. Love the drum kit. It looks very
Yeah.
sparkly.
It is indeed. I like to, I'm an attention hog, so I just go for the sparkliest finish so people look at me.
Oh, okay. Does that mean you'll be wearing like sequence jumpsuit on stage as well? Being like, look at me,
He
life
needs
of a
like
party.
the flying squirrel like fan the
Oh
jumpsuit
my
flying
God, yes.
jumpsuit. Yeah.
Imagine like being
Justin
like,
Hawkins.
yeah.
Yeah.
Love that.
Wait, what's that overhead mic doing? You've been recording some stuff.
Oh, that was just for last week.
Cool.
The sabotage video. Drum video.
Cool.
Ooh.
Yes, indeed.
So already keeping busy again.
Yeah, we've been on it. Like we've just been rehearsing because it's like so with this current lineup of the band, we've got the tour with Vicovey in October, and we realized it's like we've never actually played a show. Do you know what I mean? This band's never played a show, so
Actually,
yeah,
obviously the constellation is quite new still.
yeah. So like we've kind of been thrown in at the deep end in a good way. We had a bit of a baptism of fire in that we had to do we did like a sort of live session thing, and then we did like the Amazon live session, which is really like we had to really get can we swear on this?
Yeah,
Bleep
go
out,
ahead.
right? As I say, we can really get our shit together for that Amazon thing, 'cause it's so under the microscope, and it's just like you can't distract people with your sequence jumpsuits. It's everyone's just like listening, hyper focused on what you're doing. So it was kind of a good test of us to be as tight as we can be, basically, and just make sure that we can play our songs.
Yeah. How's the rehearsal feeling though?
Yeah, it feels
Yeah,
great.
good. I think we're ready to play at least a half an hour set.
Yeah.
And then
Great.
we've got a few headline sets coming up towards the end of the year as well. So yeah,
interesting.
we'll start getting we're starting to look at some of the older songs that we can drop into the set as well, and just kind of have a bit of fun with it, really.
Have you rehearsed some of the older songs already, or is that something you'll be doing in the future then?
Yeah, some of them, especially off the second album. We've got a few in the back pocket, but it's like now that it's been out for a while, we can just kind of pick the fun ones that we like to play, and we can kind of treat people to maybe ones we haven't played as much in the past.
Yeah, it's been fun. It's fun. We started just scratching the surface some of the stuff off the first record as well, and it's just nice to revisit it now. We're slightly, it's been a few years, so we're slightly better musicians now, and just approaching it with this lineup and just kind of being like, oh, we can kind of actually play this now. Whereas when we when we wrote it, it's like we were holding on, you know, we were clutching at straws trying to get through a lot of that stuff sometimes. So it's nice revisiting it now and kind of being like, oh, this is kind of how it should have always sounded, you know. So it's been fun.
But that's nice as well, having like that fresh perspective. And like now with the new album, obviously that's a completely fresh and new take as well. Would you say that it's almost like Transmute is a new beginning of sorts?
I think so. It certainly feels like it's the most realized body of work we've ever done. Like I think me and Lewis have referenced before our first album, Good Intent. It doesn't even really feel like the same band. You know, that very much feels like a band we were in when we were kids, kind of doing a different thing. And the last record feels like more of a natural progression into Transmute that we just released. But I think Transmute certainly feels like we figured stuff out a bit more, at least the most we ever have till this point in what we're trying to do.
Yeah, and the whole in Transmute, like change and progression is such a big theme as well. And I'm sure like that reflects like your life, your personal lives, and your life as a band to a great extent.
Yeah, so especially at that time where we were kind of not really sure what we wanted to do, and even if we wanted to carry on being in a band, it was one of the things that we were kind of mostly thinking about, like just and the way that kind of changes come in your life, and sometimes it's bad, sometimes it's good, but either way it's going to happen, and you might as well kind of make the most of it, type of thing.
And change is a lot of times not easy. Like changing your life, like flipping that on its head is like one of the most difficult things you'll ever do. And there's definitely moments where you want to just be like, nah, I quit, I'm out, I don't like this, just leave me alone. But you guys like pulled through. Obviously you were like at the brim once saying, I don't know if we want to continue this whole band thing. But at that point, what was it that made you like hang on and create this masterpiece of an album, which is just wild?
I mean, it was the writing of the album. We were still kind of fairly, everything was still kind of up in the air when me and Luke first went away to write. And we kind of just needed to do it for ourselves, really, just to kind of remind ourselves that we can do this and, you know, find out if we still enjoy doing this. And we did. We really enjoyed it. And everything we started writing was the best stuff we'd ever written. So it was kind of the process of actually just getting away from all of the external troubles and stuff that come with being in a band. Once we just isolated ourselves in this kind of creative bubble and just started working on new stuff, that was where we're like, oh yeah, we do enjoy doing this. So yeah, all of that kind of process just reminded ourselves that we still want to do it.
I think as well, like, you know, you're so right in what you said about just, you know, accepting the change can be such the hardest part of that. And once you kind of accepted that there is going to be a change or the inevitable, it kind of becomes easier to figure out how you're going to navigate that, which is, you know, a huge overbearing theme of this record, you know. And I think that that's very significant in where we were at the time, because, you know, I think it's kind of like the big change would be, oh, the band splits up, which has been such a huge part of mine and Lewis's lives for the last however many years. And it's like, okay, so it's very hard to actually rationalize that and think about if that actually happened. But then once you do accept that as a possibility, I think that's where Lewis and I have found that very liberating, because it's just like, okay, well, we've kind of come face to face with pushing the red button. So what do we do with that now? And it's kind of like, so it doesn't matter if we do have to break up or we do this, we're just going to go away and see what happens with no expectations and knowing that that could be the worst result, rather than kind of living in fear of, oh, if we don't make the best song or the best album we can, we're going to split up. Whereas being like, okay, well, we are going to split up, so let's try write something with that in mind, the pressure was off really by kind of going to that extreme.
It's like such a common thing that happens sometimes, where it's like, as soon as you kind of stop trying to hold on to something so tightly, it starts kind of going well for you, because you don't put any of that external pressure. And some of the ways you might self-sabotage yourself, it's like, just relieve control a bit and things start kind of working out.
I feel like Lewis and I went for a bit of a life epiphany on this last record.
I love that though, because like obviously music reflects such a big part of our lives as well. And that's one of the reasons why people can connect with it. And I'm sure there's many people that have found a connection, like a personal connection of their own story within this record for that exact reason, because it tackles these topics, these themes that we all go through in a way or another.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that's been one of the best things for us. Is just like, you know, certainly on an emotional level, I think we've certainly worn our heart on our sleeves the most in this record and sort of just really laid it all out. And you know, I think for us as the creators of that body of work, to have people, some of the messages that we had on release of people just really, you know, saying it got them through hard times and they've really connected with this record in particular. It's just, you know, it's kind of like that feels like the biggest accomplishment, you know, aside from anything else that happens. It's kind of like, I think as an artist, that's what you're striving for most of the time. And that I think for me, that's certainly what gets the most satisfaction, when it's like we've genuinely connected with someone here with, you know, what we put our heart and soul into.
And I'd say the fact that you had these kind of responses from people is definitely a testimony to the fact that this is very authentic and just very natural, that it's not constructed. Because I think that that's definitely a danger that when you're in this industry you're facing. You're trying to obviously put out some great material that people will love, that maybe will get great press reviews or radio plays and whatnot. And then I think there's like a balance where you don't want to start constructing stuff because you're hoping it'll do well, but be authentic, let the creative process just do its thing and be open to what's going to happen.
No, absolutely. I think, you know, like that's, especially when Lewis was talking about the external stuff, that's, you know, the industry side of things is a huge factor in what can get you down about being in a band, and certainly in the way of reviews. And, you know, like putting numbers to music doesn't exactly go hand in hand with creativity and artistry. It's like a weird thing to do, is to like rate a bit of art by numbers. But, you know, like it's like we've had, you know, we've dealt with so much stuff. We've had reviews before that have been, we've known behind the scenes have been knocked down a rating because there's another band that was more hype at the time that they wanted to give a better review to. So I think as soon as you relieve kind of like your worry about what it's going to get with all that stuff, which, you know, we've been extremely guilty of in the past, you know, and anyone in a band is, because you can't help but have, you know, judge yourself by these numbers that these critics can give you or what people say and stuff. So I think as soon as you get rid of that, like you said, the creative process becomes a lot smoother and makes more sense when you're not worried about delivering for a, you know, for a particular demographic or to please a particular magazine or this and that.
I think as you get a little bit older as well, kind of, I don't know, it almost becomes a little bit easier to be a little bit more authentic, because you kind of don't care about how you might be perceived as much sometimes, or you might feel silly. And even just being able to say things in a better, more mature way kind of gives you the freedom to be a little bit more authentic. So I like that we've been able to explore that a bit more this time around.
Would you say that during the recording process, was there maybe like a moment where you really felt like, hey, we're just completely doing our thing here, and we've really managed to throw off that mantle of expectation and really managed to like lay off that pressure for a bit and just enjoy what's happening?
Yeah, I think probably a few songs in where it was it did start to kind of feel a bit.
That was my dad. There's a sign on the door that says "Do not disturb," which I obviously didn't read, but anyway.
He plays by his own rules.
Exactly.
Sorry, Lynn.
Sorry. Please continue.
No, it's fine. If he wants to join, he can. No, you know, like I said, I think once kind of the ideas started flowing and you know, we were having a lot of discussions around music and about music, and you know, we've got to a point where we don't really have any ego towards each other. You know, we've been doing this for so long, so we got to a point where we were just kind of like looking at a lot of our favorite stuff and just kind of deconstructing what we like about it and everything. And yeah, I think a few songs in, when we started to realize like it was going well and we were having fun, I think we'd also like, we decided to like not really try and do anything. We weren't like necessarily trying to write an album or trying to write like with much intent really. It was kind of just like let the songs be what they want to be and kind of don't get in the way of what the songwriting is, what this song wants to be in the end. So yeah, I don't know, like it just felt, I don't know, it felt kind of realized from the start, like just because we went in with that kind of mindset, approached it in that way.
I was just gonna, but just everything Lewis said. Like it felt like
second it.
it just, I think from the writing stage, it was pre-recording that it already started to feel that way, so going in right from day one, it was just like, this feels good, with what we're doing.
And obviously you had Machine produce the whole thing, and you mentioned his name so many times. Like, I also listened to the Earful podcast episode the other day, which was hilarious, by the way. But you also mentioned him so much. So it seems like he really did play a big part in making the final thing come together and really bringing out, or like polishing, these weird, quirky aspects of the album that make it so stand out and unique.
Oh, thank you. I mean, Machine's just like, he's a proper producer. Do you know what I mean? There's people who record your songs, and there's people who produce your songs and make them better, and right from the last, we were fortunate enough to work with him a second time on this record, and from literally day one of pre-production on the last record, we left that day being like, oh, this guy is the perfect fit for us. He understands everything that we're trying to do with the band, and he understands how to make that, double down on that, and also trim some of the stuff that perhaps we thought we needed, that we didn't, wasn't actually delivering how we thought it was in our heads. And going into this record, it was just, we'd had a lot of time, especially with COVID, to kind of do as much pre-production as we could from our perspectives, and as much sort of trimming the fat of these songs as we could. So but even with that going in, it's like, the first thing Machine says, it's like, we need a week of pre-production. Like he says, he doesn't even want to touch a song, put a mic on a cab before we've done pre-production. And that's really where I think Machine is even more special, is in that week where you're just being creative with him, and he's making you love your own song again that you've heard 1,000 times and you're not sure if it's good anymore. And he's pointing out bits that perhaps you didn't realize was, was like could have been a bigger moment as it could have, or perhaps something could flow a bit better, or this and that. And he really came on as and he does with our band, he comes on as the fourth band member, and it's nice to have someone that we genuinely have complete faith in as well. Do you know what I mean? He only has the best interest in every decision he makes, or he puts forwards. He's only got the best interest of our band and the songs, and it's great because we have a great relationship, because sometimes he suggests things and we've kind of stuck to our guns because it's felt like the right thing, and he's agreed. Do you know what I mean? And vice versa. But there's been loads of times he's thrown stuff in and it's just like, oh yeah, this would be sick if we do this, and it's just it's funny because he's got such legendary producer status, but we just know him as like goofy, wacky Machine that we can call up, whenever. And I feel, very fortunate we've got that relationship with him, because he genuinely makes this band better.
Yeah, it's great when you have, like you said, this really natural connection with the person, and there's a lot of like trust and respect also involved with that, obviously, because this whole creative process, you need to really like trust the person on the other side and be like, okay, you work your magic, we work our magic, and somehow we're going to create this end product which hopefully everyone's going to love.
That's it. And we're fragile and sensitive enough where it's like, it's hard enough for us to even play someone a demo, let alone let them dissect it.
Yeah, it's a scary thing playing someone a demo. Like, I work on some music stuff with a friend as well. Like, he's the music person, I'm the all non-music stuff kind of person. And whenever he shares demos with me, it's like, okay, please remember, this is a demo. Like, we're proper headphones, it's not properly mixed, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, yes, you've told me that about like 20,000 times. I get it. This song is not finished, but it's this whole moment of, I'm going to be vulnerable and I'm going to put this out here and I'm going to wait for your professional opinion in that sense. Please don't destroy me.
I guess you are. I've never really thought about that vulnerability and showing someone a demo before, but I guess that is why you have that sort of apprehension.
Well, and we say exactly the same thing every single time. It's like, oh, it is just a demo though. So like, just even me playing an idea to Lewis
but it's been my best friend for like 14 years. Do you know what I mean? It's like even us playing shit to each other, we'll be like, oh yeah, so bear in mind it's not gonna be, it's gonna sound different.
Yeah,
Like...
yeah. We'll be like, so obviously like this isn't gonna be the final vocal line here. Obviously I haven't tuned the vocals yet or anything.
Yeah.
That's what we always do that with each other. Oh, obviously,
yeah, it's gonna be really good.
Yeah,
and obviously now when you compare the demos for Transmute to the actual songs, you're probably like, there is like miles in between. I remember on the podcast, I think it was Test of Our Resolve that you said changed massively between demo and final product. But I mean, I don't know how the demo sounded, but the final product, oh, love it. I think it's probably my favorite song off the album.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
that's definitely one of our favorites. It's a standout for us. But yeah, that was again, that was a song where we actually we were together, sort of starting some ideas for maybe whatever we do next, and I pulled that demo up, and it's just like, it's so funny because it's a completely different song until you hear one section that sounds familiar, and it's funny hearing how that ended up being this section in the what of the song now. And I think that's that's something that we're very I don't know what the word would be, like we're quite adaptable when we write. Like Lewis was saying, we don't really have any preconceptions going in now, so we're so not scared to completely tear something apart or just park something that's not feeling good with the writing. And I know some people are very prolific in the way they deliver song. Some people go into the studio with 20 songs for a 10-song album. It's just, we're not those people. It's just, I think we lose, we've got our attention spans are too too short. And we just lose interest if it's not feeling good, so that's why a song that could have been completely different could still end up on the album, just in a massively different form, or like the 5th iteration of that.
And now the album having been out for, I don't know how long it's been out, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, time flies.
Maybe 3 weeks. Oh, probably 3 weeks today, actually.
Yeah, that could
3
be.
weeks
oh
today.
My god, where has the time gone? Crazy.
Yeah.
But now the album has been out 3 weeks, so basically almost a month. How does it feel to have it out there and get like the first responses for the songs? Do the songs feel any different, maybe also now that you're taking them into rehearsal?
I don't know how you feel on that, Lou.
No, not really. I think when because we've the way the music industry works, it's like we've had this album for the last year.
Yeah, you've sat on it for a while.
Yeah, and we basically finished writing it 6 months before that, so it's like we've had a lot of time to kind of like play it to our friends and stuff, and it always feels different then. Like whenever you're playing it to someone and that's sat next to you, that's when your brain starts churning into, the cogs start turning in like, yeah, basically the cogs start like turning in like listener mode, and like you start to kind of like imagine how they would be perceiving it for the first time, and rather than your, 1000th time. So we've kind of like had a chance to do all of that, and we've rehearsed a fair bit and everything. So finally getting out, it's obviously very, very nice seeing all the comments and it actually connecting with people in the way that we wanted it to connect. It's like, and some like, some people's interpretations of the songs and talking about how it's, how it's connected and how it's affected them. Yeah, it's the best feeling ever. It's funny how it's like, oh, now it's out there, and now it's like, what's the next thing?
Yeah.
But that's the way it works, and I'm just excited to go and start playing some of these live now.
Yeah, massively, man.
Yeah, and just spitting on people and stuff.
Yeah.
In real life.
We love that. Is there like any city or venue you're particularly excited about, maybe on this Vukovi run?
Yeah, like, I mean, Glasgow will be really good because that's where Vukovi are from, basically. Sure. And we have a real good fan base up there, and they're just always really good for gigs. Like all the Scottish gigs are always really good. And obviously our hometown is basically London as well, so that'd be cool. And both of those have sold out, so it's like you can't ask for more really for your return gigs.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the tour's selling really well, and like I think the one I'm looking forward to is Milton Keynes. Because the Crawford Arms show, that on our last headline tour we did was one of the highlight shows of the tour, and one of my personal favorite shows I think we've ever played, and just it was sick. I'm excited to go back and try
I've
replicate
heard of
that.
the legendary sticky floors at the Crawford Arms.
Oh, they're so
God,
sick.
Obviously,
yeah.
my friend James is from there. I've driven past the venue probably like 3-4 times. So
Yeah, it's
I'm
great.
excited to get inside. If the UK continues to allow travel, I will be there in Milton Keynes and London.
Amazing.
So
Awesome.
I'll report back whether the songs sound shit live or whether
please
they're
do.
tolerable.
Please do.
And give a sticky floor rating out of 10.
Yeah, I 100% will.
One being you can ice skate across there.
Yeah.
Two being this is Shrek's swamp.
Yeah, it's pretty one extreme or the other in this.
Oh yeah, I was meant to say 10. Yeah,
It's pretty 0 to 100 over here.
yeah, that was.
Shrek Swamp. I love that rating.
So I literally haven't had a conversation with anyone all day, and then like jumping on a Zoom conversation is literally 0 to 100. It is literally ice skating to Shrek's swamp for me and my brain. So
well,
hey guys,
you're
how's
doing
it
great.
going?
Well done.
hope we're all good out there.
Perfect. So besides the rehearsals, what are you guys working on? Any new stuff you're already working on?
Yeah, like we got together and we're just kind of planting the seeds of ideas of what will hopefully grow into new songs. So yeah, I mean, it's like Lewis said, it's always like after kind of like the week after release, it always feels quite unspectacular when you put a record out, because like, you know, Lewis summed it up. It's just like, okay, what's next then? Do you know what I mean? It kind of feels like it comes and goes so fast. So yeah, we're just grinding at the moment, trying to rehearse, be as good as we can, in a live aspect, but also yeah, we're starting to pull some ideas together now, because that's really like our personal goal now, is just to get some new tunes together, because you know, like no matter what happens, it's like if we want to continue as a band, we need new music. So that's really like the next thing we need to get done.
And that's part of the fun bit as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
Writing new music.
Well,
That's why you do the whole thing.
Yeah. Well, I think for me and Lewis as well, it's like we probably both feel the most excited to actually get into it than we ever have, because it's like, especially after the last, we learned so much with the last record and writing it and just figuring out how to be efficient, at least more efficient than we were at writing. And it's just like already just jamming some of these new little bits and bobs that are popping out. It's just, I just feel like they're developing so much quicker, and they're not, you know, it's all flowing out a lot more naturally than it has before. So I think it's just going to be fun going away and getting into that, you know, with just that on our minds, rather than kind of being distracted by other stuff, which we have been until now, because the tour's coming up and we've had this and that and the album coming out. So it's going to be nice the moment we can get away just to write. I'm looking forward to that. And the tour's going to be fun.
The tour. Yeah, for sure. So I have been given half an hour with you. It's already been half an hour, but let's get
I'm leaving.
Let's get a round of closing statements, but okay. Bye. I don't need you anymore. I'm sure Lewis
that's my closing statement. My closing statement. I'm leaving.
Yeah. See ya.
Mic drop, I'm out. Love it. So yeah, let's get a quick round of closing statements. You're welcome to hang a few minutes after that. I don't know if you have another interview after this, and I don't want to make you late.
I can't remember.
We might do it actually. Yeah.
Yeah.
Our phone just went off. But look, we're all yours for at least the next 5 minutes.
Love that. Beautiful. And if it's any less than 5 minutes, I'll be mad. So seeing obviously that you have learned so much in this whole recording process and being so close to like quitting, but then not quitting, putting out this album, it being great, now being back on tour, what would you say is a key life lesson that you want people to take away from the album?
There you go, Lewis. 0 to 100.
I mean, there's a lot of things on the album, obviously, surrounding change and everything. But like, one of the main things that I think, like, in terms of like in terms of like our story, which might not necessarily be like implicitly said on the album, but I think one of the biggest things that we learned and one of our biggest takeaways is to just kind of like find love in the process of like doing the thing you do. So like, rather than, you know, making it all stress and like, you know, obviously obviously there are some things that maybe you just shouldn't be doing, so maybe just don't do that thing. But like if it is something you enjoy, like just try and find a way to separate the stuff that you don't like from it, and obviously focus on that as little as possible, and then just really find love in the process. Because especially being a musician, like there's so much extra stuff that you sometimes do have to worry about, but really like you shouldn't have to worry about it as much as you do, and you can let it interfere with, you know, the whole reason you started doing this in the first place. So long story short, find the love in the process of what you do, and keep doing it, you know. Yeah, make it fun.
I think make it fun sums it up perfectly.
That doesn't sound very profound, but make it fun.
Yeah,
make it fun.
It's a good life lesson.
Make it fun.
I can't add anything more to that. I agree with Lewis 100%. Like and I mean I do. It is funny, just, you know, the amount of bands, like, you know, that An Earful podcast, you heard those guys chatting about their band just broke up, and just as I was kind of airing, you know, some of our experiences and some of the negativity that we were trying to shed going into this record, it's like, you know, they've experienced exactly the same shit, and then you go to the next tier of bands up from us and they're experiencing the same shit, and so on. It's like, just being a creative, you will get distracted and bogged down by, like Lewis said, stuff that ultimately doesn't matter if you're in this for the right reason, and if you need to do this. And we're people who need this in our lives, because this is to a certain degree what gives us a sense of fulfillment and purpose, you know, like. And when you cloud that with all this other stuff, like what people think, like if you're getting the right shows, if the magazines are covering you, if you're getting the amount of Spotify plays, it's like none of that really matters if your focus is to just go and be passionate about the art that you're creating. And if you can, it's hard because it's so easy to let that stuff interfere, but if you can just try and move to a place where that is really why you're doing it, then you're suddenly a bit happier about the whole thing, you know. You don't feel as depressed. It's more of an ice skating depressed as a Shrek swamp depressed, you know.
Thank you for that differentiation.
But you are still depressed.
A gloomy end to a beautiful sunny statement. I feel inspired and depressed, but mainly inspired. Thank you.
That's all Lewis has ever wanted to make people feel as an artist. Inspired and depressed. Yeah.
Love that. The sweetness with a bitter undertone.
Yes, indeed.
All right. Thank you guys so much. It was lovely chatting to you, and I will hopefully see you in Milton Keynes and London.
Yeah, it'd be awesome.
Nee.
We'll definitely come say hello.
Yes, please do.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate you chatting to us.
Enjoy the rest of your day.
Lewis, I'll see you in like 10 minutes.
Yes, indeed. See you then.
See you later. Bye.
Bye.